Hey everybody, thanks for joining us this morning or this afternoon, whenever you are tuning in. If you're on your way to work or if you're at home cleaning, good morning. How are you doing? How are y'all doing this morning?
I'm happy. How are you, Pastor Trent?
Oh, I'm good. I am good. I'm just warming up my vocal cords and trying to harmonize as we get the me's going. We're glad everybody's tuned in today to this episode of Hope for the Soul. We are excited. Today is actually the last season, or not the last season, the last episode of this season. I think it's our 18th episode, I think. I don't know how many episodes we've done in total, but
Probably around 80, 85 total, maybe.
Our third season. I don't know. It's been a lot, and we're getting ready the next couple weeks to record a lot more. And obviously, just to let those of you who are listening or watching know that we will take the month of June off, and in July we will have fresh episodes for you with guests and friends of ours, ministers, and hopefully people that you enjoy listening to their perspective on life, and hopefully that they leave you ministered to and encouraged. So that'll pick back up in July, and then we'll run, I don't know, our schedule past that. So, but sometimes you just got to take a break, and so we're doing that in the month of June.
We're taking Hope for the Soul on the road.
We are.
And this is an exciting adventure for us, learning how to compartmentalize and get all of this equipment boxed up where we can move around. It's
a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. We sat yesterday and kind of looked at all the things we've acquired in the last couple of years, and we've acquired some stuff.
We've got some equipment, some good equipment.
Absolutely. And then today we are back at the table.
At the table.
Face to face.
I kind of like it.
I like the table thing.
We might need to reevaluate moving forward.
I do too. I like it better.
I'm more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but let's talk about Pastor.
Well,
go ahead.
We got Kayla on the Kayla cam today.
We got the Kayla cam rocking and rolling.
And she just gave instructions for a reevaluation.
She did. And so also, how about this? So we've had for a year and a half, we had just me and you on.
Mm-hmm.
The past 6 months, we've had Kayla on.
Yes.
And I've been at it that long.
January, 5 months.
Okay, yeah, maybe like recording or something, but I don't feel like I've been.
We only gave her a microphone a few weeks ago because she hasn't behaved, and she still hasn't behaved.
The Kayla cam and the Kayla mic has just been turned on. The Kayla mic came first, and she was on her best behavior. So then we gave her a couple more privileges, and we gave her a camera. And so here we are today.
They had me on mute.
We sure did. And but so when we're recording our next episodes the next couple of weeks, we'll have 4 people at a time on the episode. So there'll be 3 people at the table, Kayla with her mic and camera, and we might not know what to do with ourselves.
Producer Kayla. I kind of like that better.
Producer Kayla on the Kayla cam.
The Kayla cam. That's great. That's great. So we hope that you have enjoyed this past season. We've talked about a lot of things. Pretty much we kind of have an overall theme. We'll talk about ministry, our perspective, and try to inspire people. And it's kind of the same overall theme in all of our episodes. But we hope that it's encouraging, and obviously there are people that are attracted to it, so we'll keep doing it as long as people continue listening. And we want to thank you. So no matter where you're listening or watching at, why don't you leave a review? If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, just leave a star or even write a comment. That would greatly help us. If you're watching on YouTube, why don't you subscribe to our Conroe Church YouTube channel if you haven't done that. And then all you Facebook people, if you can just like this, heart this, give us an angry face if we make you mad, or give us a hug, one of those care emojis, just whatever you need to do, and then share it with a friend. We would greatly appreciate that. Dad, the world's gone crazy the past 24 hours, and we don't necessarily like to talk about sad, depressing things here, but we felt this morning that we do needed to address some of the things that's happened. Now, we're recording this on Thursday. People will watch and listen to this on Friday or after, but Wednesday, May 24th, something terrible happened.
Tuesday,
Excuse me, today's Wednesday.
Tuesday on May 24th. The eyes of the world, the eyes of America, the eyes of Texas, the eyes of all of us began to look at a little city called Uvalde, Texas, out on the very edge of the hill country and the desert country, of a little city that, if you're from Texas, you love it because you think of things like hills and streams and a phenomenal state park. You think of animals.
Good hunting.
If you're a hunter, you think of hunters. If you're a foodie, you think of those little restaurants all along the roadside that you pull in and spend some time with. But when we think of Uvalde, we really do not think of Robb Elementary School. And today our hearts are broken along with the family and the people in that community, because it is senseless that 19 children, 2 teachers, and an assailant lost their lives there this week. It's senseless that these things happen. There's no way we can define them. There's no way we can explain them or justify them in any way. Our hearts do go out to the staff, the first responders, and I guess we probably should really say thank you to a Border Patrol agent who went in alone.
Hero.
Who went in alone and took care of protecting those children and the rest of that staff, whom did what he was trained to do in that difficult moment. And he was wounded himself, but I think that our hearts of thanks heartfelt thanks should go to this gentleman as well. And it's moments like this that grief fills our hearts. Grief fills our hearts, children, families, schools, the city, state, even our nation. We stand stunned by it, but none of us should have had to feel this. This should not happen in America. This shouldn't happen in the great state of Texas. Children and teachers should never have passed in this way. Likewise, classmates, other teachers, and other families should not have experienced this, nor should they have to now grieve and say farewell, attend funerals, and all of that. No parent, no grandparent should ever be required to stand by the casket of a child. It's an unthinkable thing. I'll take it a step further. The living rooms of America should never have had to have been flooded with the news of this type of tragedy. It has happened too often. It has happened over and over again in our country, and we'll talk about here in a moment why. We suffer grief. We feel sorrow. We're baffled, and we even feel anger rise in these moments because we don't understand. And all the stages of grief that people are going to feel, we feel them in the moment. We're angry about this. We don't understand this. What could we have done to avoid this? We find all of these different things within our minds and spirit. We feel an anger. Why would a young man do such a thing? And then why would he cause such pain? And then we can only understand as well, there must have been a tremendous amount of anger and confusion and pain in this young man as well. And then we have to understand that no amount of pain, no amount of confusion can ever justify this type
That's right.
of activity. No thing can justify this. Nothing that justifies this. This is unacceptable on every level. So this makes me think that of pictures that I saw. I know you posted some this morning of people standing in parking lots, people outside of schools, but yesterday and today Uvalde prays. Uvalde stands stunned. The people of Uvalde, that community, stands stunned. And so today, Uvalde prays. But also, Uvalde doesn't pray alone. We pray with Uvalde. And across America, God's people will pray with Uvalde. Around the world, praying people will and are sending prayers to Uvalde. And Uvalde will feel the uplift of these prayers. They may not understand what they feel when they feel that uplift. They will endeavor to articulate this uplift of faith and strength. They will not be able to explain it. So you'll see things, and it may already be out there. I haven't seen it. But you'll see things like hashtag Uvalde Strong. You'll see in social media, you'll see unfolding, you will see efforts to somehow articulate what people are feeling. And so you'll see this, but the strength that they will be feeling will be strength and love that is sent to them from around the world. The most incredible thing any of us can do now is literally focus our hearts and minds towards these people and send love. And you can't package love. I mean, you can't put an envelope. You can't put it on a UPS truck and let the box get there. I mean, that doesn't happen. But love is a spiritual thing. Love is an invisible thing, but yet you can't see it, but you can see it. You really can't feel it, but you can feel it. You don't really know what it is, but you know when it's not there. Love is this intangible, tangible thing, and that is the best thing that can happen right now. We learn two things during moments of tragedy. And the first thing is probably the most surprising thing, is that when any of us face tragedy, there will be people in your world that you did not realize were in your world. People will storm in. There will be some that, for lack of a better word, let's use the word friend. You will have friends and people that you did not know were your friends. And Uvalde and the people of Uvalde are going to discover that there's friends and support and people who are willing to love and willing to care in this moment. Likewise, a second thing that we learn, and it's not quite as positive, and that is there are those that we might have expected to be there for us in these tragedies who don't show. And probably not because they're not good people and not because they don't love. It's because at our best, we're human. And some folks, some people are less equipped. They're ill-equipped to deal with these moments. They just don't know what to say. So in these moments, they find themselves ill-equipped. They don't know how to respond. So they may or may not show up in the moment. But it doesn't mean that they're not there. And so,
yeah, I would like to add something here, Dad, is sometimes, it's easy to get frustrated at those people. But from my perspective, and I think others might be able to resonate with this, that I would rather someone not know what to do and so not show up or not say anything at all than not know what to do and open their mouth and just not know when to close their mouth either. Like, I think there's a fine balance of how you operate in these times. And I think, honestly, if I speak vulnerably here, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know what to say. I mean, I know what I feel. I know I'm heartbroken, but I don't, it's tragic. Like, why are we here as a nation? Well, I know why we're here, but just that sometimes Christians feel like, well, this is why we're here, and so now we got to beat the drum and cause a ruckus instead of just stand and pray. And I think a lot of times we undervalue the power of prayer and we overvalue the power of our own opinions.
If we were ever given an example of the right kind of reaction, it was in 9/11 when that America stood stunned.
We came together.
We came together, but men and women from around the country, from around the globe, actually, they got on airplanes. People drove fire trucks. They drove dump trucks across the nation to go and to be able to help, to share love, to somehow shine a little bit of light in a dark moment. And that's what's happened in Uvalde. Darkness pressed in. Darkness pressed in the other day. And the only answer for darkness is the light of God's love.
That's right.
We can, you just mentioned talking too much. It's very possible for people to say what all shouldn't have happened. It's very possible for others to maybe even take advantage of this politically or exploit this in some way. But amid this grief, you will find the demagogues who will find a way to take this broken moment and manipulate that and exploit that for their own agendas. We use terms like political posturing. There are those who will endeavor to exploit the broken for personal views. And that is a shame. That is an absolute shame. And already the drums are beating around the periphery of this tragic event for those whom want to take this moment to assert or advance their own agenda. But, Trent, this is not, when these things happen, these are not social issues. I mean, we have social issues. Should or should we not have more guns, less guns? Should or should we not have teachers that are armed or unarmed? We have all of these social questions that people will, both sides are going to be heard.
Conversation is going to happen. It's already starting.
It needs to be heard. However, these issues, what happened on 9/11, what happens in Uvalde, and
Sandy Hook Elementary,
all of these other events that happen, these are not social issues. These are not political issues. This is a sin issue because darkness comes in, sin comes in, and sin does everything in its power to divide, to hurt, to kill, to steal, and destroy. And darkness, when this floods in, darkness is going to want to exploit and continue this. And instead of there being a national and an international complete outcry of kindness and love, you'll begin to hear voices that want to exploit this. This ought not to be, because there again, that is the spirits of darkness that are pressing in. The answer is to send the light. The answer is to send our love. The answer is to send prayers. And a carnal world, they will say, oh, that's just church stuff. If God cared, this stuff wouldn't happen. Well, tragedies have always happened.
Yeah. I think Jesus said this. I think it's important for us to remember, and I think this is the posture of leaders and as all believers in seasons like this, as we should remember what Jesus said is, I have said these things to you, this is John 16, that in me you may have peace, because in the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. I think we need to take heart, we need to find peace, and believers should lead the charge in offering peace, not political arguments, not grandstanding. I think that it's the church's job, it's my job, it's your job, it's Kayla's job, it's all of our job to just remind people that while bad happens in this world, at the end of the day, Jesus has overcome, and we find our peace in him. We find our refuge in him.
There is no social solution for these things. There is no political answer for these things. None of those works of the flesh will ever heal these problems. Sin issues require spiritual solutions.
Right.
And basically, what we need in these situations is mercy, love, kindness, the blood of Jesus Christ, put all over these things. You cannot legislate morality. Yeah. And while I support the issues and certain stands on certain political issues that are out there today, such as, certain rights with guns, abortion rights, et cetera, while I have my own personal stands based on Scripture, then I think, though, we have to remember that we can never legislate these things. All of these political things that are hot button things, the transgender issues, the abortion issues, all of these things out there, they're not social issues. They're sin issues.
That's exactly right. The heart of every problem that's plaguing our land today is an issue of sin. There's no other way to say it. That the reason that things like these, the reason that things like this happen, is because we have sin in our heart, and the politicians are going to do what they need to do and have to do, and they should be doing. But I think the church should rise up and do what we should do, and we should just call out sin for sin, and we should love people, love sinners, not just righteous people. We should love the sinners, and we should lead and minister in these times in a way that draws people closer to the presence of God, not turns them off and makes them want to, or make them want to run from the house of God.
Every one of us should run towards the fire.
That's right.
And we shouldn't take this moment to say, well, it's the guns that did it, or it's the video games that did it, or it's the dad's not being in the home, it's the broken homes, or it's the others. We shouldn't all right now be trying to point fingers at who was wrong. At this moment, we've got to have a collective unity in saying what's right with America, what's right with this, and what is right is to love, what is right is to pray, what is right is for every one of us to do what we can to help those people, and then in your local community, be salt and light, and don't add to the aggravation, and don't add to the fire of rhetoric that is in every community following one of these things.
I think, just a few minutes ago, Dad, before we came out here and began recording, my phone rang. It was a school, or Kayla's phone rang. She went in the office, so I answered it. It was a school, and it was a school nurse, and one of our kids have a headache in the office, has a red face, and the nurse told me that, there's no fever. He's laid down for a few minutes. What do you want me to do? And, well, actually, let me back up. Before they asked what we wanted the school to do, the school asked us, do they know what's happened in our world the past 24 hours? Do they know what's happened at that school? And I said, no, we haven't said a word to our kids about it. And I think that then the nurse said, well, there's a lot of kids here today that know and are afraid. And whether or not the parents, I mean, there's been times that we've told our kids what's going on because they walked in the room and they heard the conversation. So it's not that kids should know or shouldn't know, but just the fact that fear is crippling. And this is the opportunity to remind people that perfect love casts out all fear. And the love of Jesus Christ makes such a difference in this world. And anger, my goodness, Dad, anger is running rampant. There's times I feel angry about things. You feel angry about things. And even scrolling social media, you just see anger already rising up. And I just want to tell the people, maybe some wild chance that someone who's affected by this closely is listening to Hope for the Soul or sees this. Just want to remind you that vengeance is God. You have every right to be angry. You have every right to be upset. But vengeance belongs to God. And God fixes things better than we can fix things.
Oh, when God does these things, let me reflect a bit. Back on that Tuesday when 9/11 took place, and we all watched as buildings collapsed and clouds of concrete dust filled the air, and around the world through technology, we heard the screams of people, and we heard the wailing of sirens. That day, we were asked. There was already a gathering at the country club here in Conroe scheduled, and we received a call that day if we would come and lead a prayer at this gathering. I don't know what the gathering was. We came in late and left early, and it wasn't our crowd. I mean, the society of our community were there. Alcohol and society were mixing, and because of the emotional things that were going on, there was a big screen TV in the corner of the room, and there were probably a couple hundred community leaders there in that, I guess it was a ballroom that we were in. And they were looking at that, a lot of alcohol flowing, a little band going in the corner that was being ignored. They were playing, but nobody was paying them any attention. And then I was introduced and asked to pray. And in that moment, I did not know what to say. I'm a pastor. I've always got a prayer I can just pull out. But I just began to talk about the emotion that we were feeling in the moment because we were uncertain. We did not know what tomorrow held, and we didn't know if we had more attacks coming, or were we going to be in a full-scale war here on our homeland in the next few days, and were our sons about to go to war. And I verbalized to that group of leaders that evening the emotions and thoughts that were going through my mind. And a most amazing thing began to happen, because as I talked, I heard wine glasses begin to clink and be set down. And then I saw these affluent men, they quit whispering among themselves, and they acted like a lot of times men act on Sunday morning at church, a lump in their throat. And then I saw these affluent ladies, how that they begin to grab napkins and Kleenex and wipe their eyes. And then I could hear a cry or two of pain and of fear in the room, because I had articulated the emotions that we all felt. And then I led them in a prayer. And I did not know what to pray that day, so I just prayed, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear them. So I just prayed through that, and as I prayed, my eyes were closed. I heard more and more crying, more and more sniffling within the room. And then when I concluded my prayer, now this is a social event. This isn't the church house. I did not really know what to do, so I just turned to the little band that was back there. I said, "Can y'all follow me?" And so we just sang together, "God Bless America." It was a patriotic moment. But with that unified song, we felt peace come into the room, and we felt what happens when people unify in their heart and spirit. And if there's anything that we as a people can do right now for the people of Uvalde, is we can lock our hearts and our minds and our spirits with them. We can pray with them. We can send our faith. We can send our peace. We can send our hope in Jesus Christ to them. And I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, today Uvalde is praying. But Uvalde is not praying alone. We are praying with Uvalde. And if you're hearing us, take a moment and send that prayer, send that love. Uvalde, you're not by yourself during this. We love you.
Yeah, Psalms 46, so good. God is our refuge and strength, and ever-present help in time of trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. The earth is giving way right now. People of the earth, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging, God is still our refuge and strength. And I think that the world needs a little bit more love. The world needs a little bit more of the church being the church and just reaching out and reminding people that we lift up our eyes to the hills from where our help comes from. James said it like this: "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Trials are going to come, but in the middle of the trial, the goodness of God is still there, and it's working all things together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose.
So if you hear this in a few days, or you are looking at this, let me just remind you that we love you. And if you don't feel a little bit of love when you click and tune in to Hope for the Soul, then we're missing the mark. we want to share some love. We even allow Kayla and the Kayla Cam every once in a while to crack a corny joke, because we want everybody to feel and understand that if there's anything that comes from this, it's got to be the love of Jesus Christ, and it's got to be fellowship and unity that comes from brotherhood, and we want that to always emanate from us, and that's what we feel when you take time and you listen or watch with us.
Yep. So there was no corny joke today from Kayla. I tried to get her to give us a corny joke, and she said today wasn't the day. So, but thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope this episode encouraged you, and we look forward in the next few weeks to releasing a lot of very uplifting, positive episodes with some of our friends and maybe some pastors, some men of God that you know or have heard of. And thanks once again, always for tuning in. We always want Hope for the Soul to encourage you, to leave you better, not weigh you down. And today we hope that we encouraged you in the middle of all that's going on in our world. God bless everybody. We'll see you soon.
See you in July.